All right, so next we're gonna move on from adding with integer chips, and we're gonna work on drawing them out or drawing the questions out. But a lot of the concepts are the same as using the integer chips. So we still have positive and we still have negative integers. Okay, but we just have to represent them differently. So if I have a positive number, I'm going to represent it by a circle and a little positive sign in the middle. And if I have a negative integer, I'm going to represent it with a circle and a little negative in the center. And the same thing as before, if we have a positive, it's also going to represent a hot. And if I have a negative, it's also going to represent a cold. So I can start off, I might start off with -7 plus, and I'm going to add 4 positives. So we want to figure out, if we start off with -7 and we're adding in 4 positives, what's our answer going to be? We can also think of it using hot and cold. So if I have my temperature is -7 and I'm adding in 4 heats. So I'm adding 4 heats to -7. Is my temperature going to get warmer or is it going to get colder? So if we're adding in heats, we know that the temperature is going to get warmer. So our answer has to be warmer than -7. And so we can draw out this question to help us figure out what the answer is. So first of all, I'm going to draw out 7 negatives. And I'm going to use my little legend over there to show that I have 7 negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm just going to add in my negative symbol inside these circles. And so these 7 integers are going to represent my -7. And in the question, I'm adding in 4 positives or 4 heats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to draw in my positive symbol inside. And so these 4 are going to represent my 4 heats. Additional part is we have to somehow show that we are adding something in. So one way we can show that we're adding something in is drawing a little arrow to what we're adding in. So we have our -7 represented by my drawing of 7 negatives. I have my 4 positives represented by 4 positives right there. And I have my adding represented by an arrow showing that we're adding something in. And so now we have negatives and positives together. And we know from previous lessons that when we have negatives and positives, they form 0 pairs or they cancel each other out. So I have a negative and a positive there, and I can show that they're making a 0 pair by crossing them both out. So I have a positive and a negative, they form a 0 pair, I can cross them out. I have a negative and a positive, they form a 0 pair, they cancel each other out. And finally I have a positive and a negative, and I can form a 4th 0 pair. And so now I'm left with 3 negatives. So I know my answer is -3. But I want to draw this portion of my question out. So in order to draw my equal sign, I'm just going to draw a straight line down. So this line is going to represent, and whenever you see it, it's going to represent the equal sign. And now I can just draw my 3 negatives, put my negative symbol inside of them. And so this drawing represents this equation. So I have my 7 negatives represented here. I'm adding something in, so I'm drawing my arrow in to show that I'm adding. I have my 4 positives right here. I'm showing that these, when I have the positive negative, they are forming 4 0 pairs. I have my equal sign that represents the equal sign, or my line that represents the equal sign. And finally my answer, -3, and I'm going to represent that with 3 negative integers.